You are a serf. You are a peasant. You just don't know it yet. Do you think the retards that work at Dunkin' Donuts are just gonna go and change from being a fucking service employee bot to being a robotics engineer? Absolutely not. Like, I'm just gonna be honest here, okay? I know I sound like an asshole for saying this, but like, it's just not gonna happen. It's not. Why not? Because they're stupid. They're stupid. That's the reason why. Anyway, all of the workers in these restaurants, like 90% of them are going to get replaced by robots. These are unskilled, low education jobs that you could have a robot replace you in 5 years. There are already places that are doing this. It's only going to become more common. And for actual customers, they will prefer the robots because a lot of the reasons why these people work in places like this is because they're too stupid to get a job anywhere else. And they're too untrained or unskilled or in one way or another inefficient to get a job anywhere else. And so what a good thing it is that we have all these people that do a bad job in a lot of cases. And even if they don't do a bad job, they don't like their job, they hate the job, they don't have to do it anymore.
Listen, I didn't make it up. That came straight from Asmongold's YouTube video. We're going to get into watching it in a moment. But he's talking about Dunkin' Donuts workers and airport workers who are protesting automation, AI, whatever, in the workplace, kiosks that could potentially cost them their jobs. And, you know, I once again want to say that, or I'm inclined to say that Asmongold is tone deaf here, that he just doesn't understand how he affects people, but it's just not true. He knows exactly how he's affecting people, and the truth is that he doesn't care. And I made a video about Asmongold, and I'll tell you what, I'm never going to remove it. It has the worst like to dislike ratio of any of my videos, and I look at it sometimes just to make sure that I know what I did wrong. And what I did wrong was that I didn't develop my ideas well enough, because I was talking about whether or not consumers cared if AI made a piece of art or any work that they're consuming. And I knew it was true that they don't care. But that's not really what I wanted to say, and that's what happens when you don't develop your ideas far enough. No, what I really wanted to say is that Asmongold thinks that he's better than people and doesn't care about consequences when they happen to other people. And that's evident when we go back and review the video, because at the end, he kind of sounds like he's talking about how it's good that these people won't have to do these jobs, or in the beginning he talks about how it's not good for anybody to do these jobs because they're so bad for individuals or so unfulfilling, but he offers no solution. It's awful, bare of a solution or of any sort of general empathy. And I think that it's interesting. It's an interesting thing because I did some research. I went back and I looked at who is this guy, because I'm about to make another video about him, and I usually don't make a lot of videos about one person. I need to know, who is this guy? And I'll tell you what, Asmongold, I've seen some of his old stuff. The guy actually used to really display a lot of traits that showed me that he had empathy. And I went and I stumbled upon this clip where he's talking about why he lives a simple life.
First thing that if you want to do anything is to think about what really makes you happy. And if having X, Y, or Z makes you happy, think to yourself and ask yourself, is having that thing what makes you happy, or is being able to have that thing what makes you happy? Because for me, being able to have that thing is what made me happy. And that's why I never really had to have the thing, because I was happy at the very beginning. And so the real answer of why I live a humble or why I live a simple life is that I don't. I live the most extravagant, great life I could possibly ever imagine. I'm surrounded by my friends that I spend time with daily. I have a great, I hate calling it a job. I really do. I hate calling it a job. But I have a great thing that I do with my streams and my videos. I consider myself incredibly lucky, and I'm very passionate about that in many ways. And I have my parents that care about me and love me. I have my family that cares about me. I have my real life friends that I've known for 20 years, and I still am friends with them, and I see them all the time. I don't live a humble or simple life at all. I'm extremely happy. I don't need a expensive car or anything like that to have. I live a very extravagant life. I live a life of opulence.
So I find this actually very interesting, because this is a man who actually knows what matters in life, and he talks about his relationship with his family, his friends, how he has a good time during his days, just hanging out with his friends, playing video games, stuff like that. He knows what's really valuable in life, and I just think it's really interesting, because all of those things are afforded because of some level of financial security, right? He lived with his mom. He doesn't live with his mom anymore. I know his mom passed away, and I'm not, here to actually say anything bad about him with that, because I could tell he actually really loved his mom, and he actually paid a lot for her care before she passed. So clearly this man knows what's valuable in life, and he doesn't spend his money, even though he makes $2.5+ million a year, at least from when Twitch leaked its payouts, right? So this man is loaded with money, but doesn't really use it, but does have that financial security where he doesn't have to worry about money. And then he sees people making a minimum wage amount of money, and we're going to get into it, and he feels that it's appropriate to look down on them. I just feel like that's so bizarre. Also, I just want to add that, I'm not trying to, assume that he was magnanimous, early in his life, and that money has corrupted and changed him, because it seems like he was always willing to say something edgy or off-handle, or has no regard for rules or how they affect people. Because I found this other clip where apparently his old greeting used to include the N-word, and he changed it just because of the consequences of, becoming more popular. Which, don't get me wrong, everybody changes over time, and I've definitely said some stuff when I first started trying to build an online presence that I don't agree with anymore, so I kind of give him a buy, except that the nature of this one is kind of a little bit more personal, so maybe I'm a little less forgiving.
I had 5 or 7 different ways that I would actually do the intro, man. I would think about this shit because I was an idiot, but that's basically it twice today. Let's see, which ones did I did? So, did I ever tell you guys? I think I did. I'm pretty sure I did. I told you guys, my original intro, what it was going to be, and what I used to have it as for, some of my really, really old videos, right? Because it was actually an even bigger intro than what I have now. I think it was either, I forgot actually what it was. I think it's either, sup y'all, it's me, it's your boy Asmongold, and today I'm hooking y'all motherfuckers up, and then I had actually replaced motherfuckers with the N-word, right? And up with the new motherfucking exclusive, right? And that was that was my original intro that I did back in 2009 or something, very, very long time ago. But obviously it's been sanitized since then to just be sup y'all, it's me, it's your boy Asmongold, and that's what I've been doing for a while, right? I like the intro. It's bring it back. Drop into the 5 to the community subs, man. I should get more people VIP. Thanks a lot, dude. I appreciate that. But yeah, I used to be a real problem boy, man.
Nah, I'm not gonna lie. Hearing it back again when I edited it back in, it triggered me a little bit. But look, I'm just gonna get right into reviewing the actual video, because honestly, it speaks for itself. When you see what he says about all these workers, you'll see that I'm not just here talking a whole bunch of smoke. There's real things that he says that just seem completely tasteless and basically heartless. Because all he seems to bring up is the problems and no solutions. Just yeah, get used to it. Flippy's gonna take your job.
We are protesting the fact that they actually put a kiosk up in front of the Dunkin' Donuts to replace the cashiers that are there. You can see
Look at that smile, right? Why is he so happy about this? That's my question.
Welcome to the future.
You see, that's the first thing I want to say. Why does he take so much joy in the fact that this person's going to lose their job? These are the questions I have. Is it something to smile about? That's my question. Why does it fill him with so much glee to see that these people are concerned about losing their jobs? That's question number one.
Say in the workplace, if we allow automation in, it's just going to take customer service, away. It's going to take.
That's the goal. Yeah. That's the point. Please. Please work faster on it.
So we could talk about, he's saying that's the goal, which, by the way, like, I think it's kind of okay for him to say that's the goal. It's the goal for automation to take over. But my question is, do you care about what happens to people who are willing to work, trying to make money to survive, and this is their job? That's the real question. And it seems like he's just pretty damn joyful that they're going to lose their jobs. And then what? And then what? That's the question. When we watch this over, I want you to ask yourself, so what is Asmongold's solution? It seems to me that his solution, after watching this whole video, is to watch people decay and die off because they cannot survive in a new economy. Like, for him, it's pure, brutal survival of the fittest. And I don't want to say that it's like eugenics, but it gives a eugenics ring when you're like, only the smart people should survive, which is based off of eugenics and determining what is valuable. And what's valuable changes over time. The economy has changed several times over the past hundreds and thousands of years. The things that have been valuable have changed over time. So who's to say that what he has to provide that's valuable will be timelessly valuable? That's the question you got to ask yourself. And it becomes real ironic later on, and I'll point it out.
Service out of customer service, and that's not what people want.
They hate workers.
It's not what people want. Who decided that? I want it. I do. I think that working a service industry job like this is not a good use of a person's time. And I think that people could do something that's more fulfilling to them personally and to live out their existence in a way that's more fulfilling and more meaningful. I don't think working in a Dunkin' Donuts is that.
So there's something to be said there, right? He's saying that, yeah, I want this to happen. I want things to become more automated. I don't want to deal with people, which, you know, in itself, the idea of that is fine. And he's like, this is not a fulfilling way for people to live their life, right? Which we can also agree, it's not a fulfilling way for people to live their life. But also, people need to be able to earn money so that they can survive. So just saying it's non-fulfilling doesn't mean that what you're saying is good, because what you're saying is that these people shouldn't have jobs, but you're offering no solution. Just, this is bad that they do this, but then there's no empathy on his end. It's just pure, just, if it's good for me and bad for you, doesn't matter because it's good for me. But we'll see that as we continue to watch.
I am an anarchist, so like, yeah, I do believe that like hierarchies and like places of power like cause violence, and that's pretty much all they do.
You think that profit over people is going to last forever, or do you think that late stage capitalism is just going to death spiral so hard that we have to ultimately kind of level the playing field and create a new society?
Well, some people have to get shot.
Developing news today.
But it's not you. People love saying stuff like that because they think it's never going to be them, right?
This is the most ironic thing that I've heard from him in this whole video. Like, you know, this woman says, or I'm sorry, I shouldn't assume their gender. This person says that people have to be shot, which of course is like tasteless, just to say like, oh, some people have to die, which of course we could get into the idea that there's state sanctioned violence and then there's non-state sanctioned violence, and that, you know, some people suffer by violence and they're the lower class people, and that the upper class people don't have to, you know, be exposed to that level of violence, or because it's state sanctioned, they're allowed to get away with doing violent things like waging war in countries against people who have less means than us, and because it's state sanctioned, even though they're innocent, their deaths are seen as justifiable because it took place in war or in some way that the state says is allowed. But we're going to move on beyond that, because what I think is so ironic about what Asmongold is talking about here is that he's like, oh, they always think it's going to happen to someone else. What if automation, what if all this technology affects you one day, Asmongold? People always say that it's good for all this automation and technology to take over until we're like the world in Altered Carbon, where there's the Methuselahs living up in like space, quite literally, looking down on the peasants who don't have access to the research or to the resources that are available to them. And because they never die, those advantages compound and compound and compound, and nobody has a fair chance of escaping poverty. Or if they do, it's so minuscule that it's practically irrelevant, and such a small percentage of people get to be successful that the system is no longer fair. Maybe that's kind of what she's getting at, is that the system is unfair, which I can agree that there's a lot of unfairness, even though I think capitalism is probably one of the best ways to get ahead in today's society. Him just saying that, oh, everybody feels that way until it affects them. I just think that, like, if this man just had a mirror where he could listen to what he said in the right context, maybe he wouldn't say that. Like, and maybe he'd recognize the immense level of privilege he's in, where he could just sit down and look down on people just for sitting in his room. Might add, a pretty non-clean room. I hope that I put this graphic up later. His room is not clean.
Because they assume that when this happens, it's all going to happen to somebody else, or somebody else is going to have to do it. Yeah, that's always
Irony.
what it happens.
Irony.
Anarchists complaining about violence. Well, I mean, there's some countries, and the first thing in an anarchist society that happens is somebody takes it over and makes it non-anarchist. Like,
I think that's one of the few things that he says that is correct. Like, anarchy doesn't really work because at the end of the day, power does in nature like to consolidate at the top. It's just about making sure that that top doesn't get out of control. And I think that that's the opportunity of today's world, that we have far too much consolidation and not enough competition. We could talk about the nuances, but just saying it's not, we can't just assume that everything he's saying is good just because he has money. No. And I think that's a problem with, the United States today, is that we really think that people with money know better, and they don't always know better. Sometimes they just have money.
Down. The workers with HMS Host, a vendor operating many of the restaurants and coffee shops inside the terminal.
See, Flippy would never do that. He would never protest. Flippy does not even have the word union programmed into his language model. He doesn't even know it exists. He'll work on Christmas. He doesn't care. He's happy. Flippy is pro-consumer. He is.
So I don't disagree with him, right? I think that talking about how it's better for consumers to be able to purchase things quickly and easily, that's good for the consumer. But that's not what we're focused on, right? At least that's not the focus of this video. It's about, are these strikers justified in thinking that their jobs are going to be threatened and that they're, being marginalized in terms of their income, which is absolutely true. I think even Asmongold would agree with me that it's absolutely true that these people are in jeopardy of losing their main sources of income, and that it's a real problem to think about, and that it's not something to just be like, hey, they don't deserve, to survive.
The workers say they want what most American workers want. That's the ability to keep food on their table and a roof over their heads.
Employees then think about that and stop thinking about trying to keep these shitty fucking jobs on life support. They're thinking about it from the complete wrong direction. If none of these people had to worry about paying money, if everybody just if you received the same amount of money every month, regardless of whether you went to this job or not, I bet 99% of these people would never go to the job. So you don't care about the job. You don't give a fuck about the job. You care about the money.
By the way, I completely agree with him here. Yeah, of course, people care about the money, but how do they get the money? What does he believe? Right? That's my question. He's just saying they don't care about the money. They don't care about the job. They only care about the money. But they need the money, so they do the job. And now what? Right? So now what? Is the question. Because by the way, I've watched this whole video. I have not heard a real solution. Just like, all they care about is the money. Yeah. And how are they going to get it? By doing a job. And these people are willing to work. They're willing to be productive. But how are we going to, as a society, get them the money? I mean, hey, does he believe in a freedom dividend where people get free money? If so, speak, say it. But all it sounds like he's saying is they're thinking of it in the wrong direction. Well, what is the solution?
So we're going to go to a protest, specifically a Phoenix Sky Harbor food service anti-automation protest. We're going to meet up with some Dunkin' Donuts employees that
there is nothing less valuable than unskilled, uneducated labor. That's what a horse does. Those are the people that are going to get replaced as fast as possible. Low skill, no education labor. That's it. Bro, that's why I just told you. No, I'm just saying, right? Like, yeah.
Okay, I think that that's really just a low blow. Comparing people to horses, that's insane. A horse cannot make a latte. Like, he needs to, it's just very clear where his mentality is that these people are subhuman. And he definitely just made the comparison to something subhuman. He is looking at people like they're closer to horses than they are to a human being. Like, a horse cannot make a latte. A horse cannot mop a floor. A horse could pull a carriage. A horse could jump over a barrier. There's valuable things that a horse can do. But human beings, come on, like a horse cannot make a burger for me at Burger King. So to say that, it's completely invaluable, like, it's just it's mean. It's just mean-spirited. And I get that low-skilled labor is going to be the first thing to be automated away, but I would love to hear his solution. And if you guys catch a solution, obviously have the video down in the description below. Let me know if he comes up with a solution anywhere in this video. If you have it, post it in the comments below. Or if he puts it in another video, I'd like to hear about it.
I think they're just trying to squeeze every penny they can out of the entire experience, and to allow people to do it themselves just makes it quicker and easier for the company.
Do you feel like
Well, if it makes it easier for the company and it makes it easier for the customer, then does the company serve customers or does it serve its employees? It serves customers. If it serves its employees over its customers, it no longer is a company because it's going to go out of business. Like, these people, again, are just completely fucking delusional.
I think he's right in that, of course, companies are supposed to, serve the consumer. So, yeah, I totally get that there is a misalignment. Like, customers really do not care about workers. They see them as a means to an end. But that doesn't mean that we should be happy about that a capitalist system drives that, because ultimately we're supposed to be a government that helps support people. I believe it shouldn't just be the Wild West. That's why we have the police and fire departments and all sorts of other public goods that are meant for the public at large and for, people, just like the good of all the people, right? And not just companies, even though now we are, as a, society, shifting more towards the good of companies. And I find that, that shift alarming.
I mean, the best part of my day is getting to talk with the guests, get to know them, see why they're traveling, where they're going to, joking around. Like, that's what people come into a full service experience for. If they didn't want that, they would just go and grab a sandwich and go sit by the gate. So I feel like they're
reason why you go to Dunkin' Donuts is because the food's better. Like, if I could push a button and get the food, I would do that. Like, that's me personally. I'm sure some people feel the way that she does, but I'm not one of them. And so I'm just speaking from my own experience.
By the way, I actually agree with him here. Sadly, I don't think that people would care about whether they get it from a person or from a kiosk. And I'm not saying that I'm 100% against automation in and of itself. But what I am trying to say is that it still matters what happens to the people who serve the food. That's it.
Many Thanksgiving travelers are not opposed to AI and enjoy automated kiosks for their convenience, among other things. What do you think about automation and AI?
I think it's a great idea.
The fact, bro, you got this guy right here. This is a boomer. That's a real boomer right there. If this guy is okay with AI and he's okay with automation, that's the fucking future. If they already got this guy on board, that's it.
Now, there's something I definitely want to say here, because I think that it's absolutely silly just to believe that because a boomer who's probably retired says that they are a fan of automation, that it's a good thing. That boomer no longer has to be productive in the economy. Of course, he's going to like automation. Of course, he's going to think automation is beneficial to the economy because he gets the benefit by it. He's already done all his productive work. He's lived out his productive life. He has retirement incoming. So he can just spend it. He's at the end of his life cycle where he can save.
It just seems to make it much more swift. Some of these, it just makes traveling so much easier. We thought it was pretty neat,
Over here, they're protesting, saying that it's going to kind of take away jobs and stuff. What do you think about that?
Well, you can always look at it two ways, I think, because you're creating jobs on the other side, too. Someone's got to build the robots, someone's got to maintenance them, someone has to put the food.
Do you think the retards that work at Dunkin' Donuts are just going to go and change from being a fucking service employee bot to being a robotics engineer? Absolutely not. Like, I'm just gonna be honest here, okay? I know I sound like an asshole for saying this, but like, it's just not gonna happen. It's not. Why not? Because they're stupid. They're stupid. That's the reason why. They're not gonna figure it out. That's why. Like, I know people might not want to admit it. Everybody has a different height. It doesn't matter how hard you try. If you're 5 feet tall, you probably can't be 6 feet tall, you know? That's it.
So I think this is one of the most revealing moments in the whole video, that he just calls people who can't, you know, become engineers, I guess, stupid, I guess, or, you know, people who can't find a way to survive in this economy too stupid. And they're just different. And I get it. There are people who have different intelligences and stuff like that. But he's really making a value statement about who deserves to succeed, or even who deserves to be able to like survive in a way. Is that not the statement he's making? And of course, this boomer's like, well, somebody has to, you know, engineer the robots and stuff like that. Once again, he is out of the economy in terms of making productive assets, more than likely. Of course, he just gets to enjoy and look down on the previous generation, saying that he worked hard. This is a new globalized environment. We don't have as many protectionist policies in place. So there is somebody in India who will do your job for pennies on the dollar and take a much lower wage, and you have to compete with them to somehow create even more value, which means you have to be even more productive. No, this is not your mom and dad's economy, but they could be like, well, I have this property that keeps on going up in value. I have this portfolio that I invested in over the past, 30 years or whatever it is of my productive life. So I'm able to look down at you and tell you just work harder, you peon. It's not right. It's not the right mentality to take on a more and more complex economy and global environment. And calling people stupid just because they're working at Dunkin' Donuts, just remember, these people are necessary. We still need them today. And it's just, honestly, it's just mean. It's mean. It means you're basically saying some people deserve to live and some people deserve to not live. Basically. I mean, what else? But once again, if you find a solution somewhere in this video, feel free to leave it in the comments below. I've been looking for one.
Want to work, and it's not that I want to automatically replace them, but I don't think it'll ever be like when I grew up.
I feel like nowadays, because of TikTok and stuff, all the kids want to be YouTubers and dancers and rappers.
Bro, he's playing them. Oh, yeah, here we go. And you can see them smiling like, oh, yeah, kids, they're so stupid. Yeah.
I don't want to,
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely him. He is, farming to try and get a particular response out of these boomers. That's definitely something that's going on. And, don't get me wrong, I kind of get some of it that, because of, technology and TikTok and becoming YouTube famous and all this stuff, that people want to find alternative ways of living, but they probably are doing that because they see that normal conventional jobs, like the jobs that these people had to have access with, or that they had access to, just like that lady said before, that things are not going to be like when I was younger, then they are actually adapting to the new environment because they see that working at Dunkin' Donuts or working 10 years at a regular job is not going to lead to advancement. It's not going to lead to wage growth. They're going to stagnate. They're going to have subpar costs of living and subpar qualities of life. And just to kind of look down and be like, ha, 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 you guys aren't being productive and that's why you're failing is not kind or actually any way solution oriented. And I guarantee you that these same individuals in this type of economy would have difficulty adapting and learning the skills necessary for them to be able to be productive.
The kids, male, female, it doesn't make any difference. You have the sense of not rotting a real job. Just, I want to just kind of do what I want. And they expect...
Jesus, $50? Yeah, I mean, I bet if you... I bet that's probably... how much you make as a lineman? I bet you probably make pretty close to that.
I'm sorry, I have to look this up. Okay, I went ahead and looked this up just to see, what a starting electrician makes when, they just start. And the average wage looks like it's about $20 an hour. So I don't know, maybe he knows somebody making $50 an hour. Nationwide, it's $26 an hour. So I don't know where he's talking about that you can make $50 an hour as a starting electrician, but, you know, I don't know. You know, this is what I mean to say. He's completely disconnected from reality. It's just not the truth.
Are you pro-capitalism?
Yeah, I guess.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. It's better than everything else we got, like being shoved in our face, right?
Yeah.
So I guess.
I'm just gonna be honest. Look, I don't know what this man does. I don't know what his profession is. But does that guy seem like like an artist? Does that guy seem like he has any idea? Let's say his economic situation is good, his financial situation is great. Does he seem like he has any real perspective? Everything else being shoved in our face, it doesn't show any sort of subtlety and ideas. He's like, I'm doing good, so you should be doing good. Which I think is a problem. When people become more successful, they forget how difficult it can be for other people, or they just have no idea. So relying on their input and their opinion is kind of like, why should we? Because they don't know what it's like for other people. Maybe his story is something that we should pay attention to. Maybe there's more to know about that guy's particular story, and I'd be interested in learning more. But, you know, as far as I know, you know, I have no idea why we should listen to this guy at all. He's just a guy on the street who's just like, yeah, I'm making money, but like doing what? I would love to learn more. I feel like he didn't ask enough questions.
Are you optimistic about the future of American capitalism?
About that specifically, I'm not optimistic about that if it keeps continuing. No.
How come?
Well, because it's hard to live. I mean, I live in a studio, converted from a garage, two blocks down from my landlord's McMansion. Like that's how I live.
Yes, you are a serf. You are a peasant. You just don't know it yet. That's right.
So yeah, I mean, I kind of get what he's saying. You know, I have a rental property. I rent out my property, and there's people that help me with the expenses by paying rent. But you know, it's just it's the framing, right? You're just like, you're a peasant. It's making these people like, this is what you deserve. And I think that he really should check his privilege, because he got to live with his parents while he went to school. I know this because I researched it. He got to live with his parents while he went to school. And he was able to start up his business. And yes, he was successful. And I'm sure he put a lot of work into it. But he, I think, loses perspective of the level of privilege that is, that he had parents that cared about him, that he had parents that were willing to support him and let him live his life the way they wanted to. I don't know how much he contributed towards bills, but there's a lot of parents that'll be like, hey, you got to start paying like a certain proportion of the bills around here. So, you know, there's a lot of things that I don't think he realizes, or that he doesn't appreciate when he speaks, the level of privilege he had to get to where he's at. But I think it just brings him in an inordinate amount of glee to see that these people are in bad situations. And for somebody in a level as influential as Asmongold, with all the followers he has, I think that that's not good. That's not what I like to see in the world, which is why I'm even making this video. I just don't like the idea that somebody so successful and so influential is promulgating a message like this.
I've been getting a taste of the real world for like years, so like I don't know, like why do these people have to? Why do these people deserve anything better than what I have? You know.
No, I don't agree with you, young lady. Stop talking about what people deserve in terms of better or worse than you. Nobody deserves more or less than anybody when they start out, but you can get what you deserve over time by working hard in a good system. The argument is whether or not this system that's in place is, you know, equitable and fair for the majority of parties. It'll never be completely and, you know, absolutely fair for everybody, but how fair is it? How much can good productivity actually profit you in the long run? That's the question that we should be asking.
For sure.
Because they have it and you don't. What do you think about deserve, bro? What are you thinking about deserve?
I agree here.
You thinking about deserve?
I agree. I can't disagree.
Deserve? Oh.
Can't disagree.
Here we go. Here we go.
I'm with him here. I can't argue.
Yeah.
What are your passions outside of working here?
I mean, I do art, I guess, yeah.
What kind of art?
I draw, I guess, yeah.
That's cool. Do you ever think about, like, you know, after this going into illustration or something like that?
No, that's fucking insane, because like even in our current society we have like as much, you know, like
The fucking, like, yeah, fucking, our society, the fucking,
I'm not gonna have the opportunity, no.
Well, shit, you never know.
No.
Is there a possibility of promotion in the Dunkin' Donuts corporate apparatus?
Well, I don't know why I'd want to do that. Then I would lose union protections.
You know what I think happened? Is that as soon as Andrew asked about, like, going into illustration, it, like, triggered this person because that's probably what their parents told them to do. That's what it felt like to me. It's like, yeah, why don't you do this? Like, why don't you do something else? Like, oh, no, I can't fucking do it.
Listen, I actually don't disagree with him here. And the reason why is because I know that really that person, what they can't do is articulate with, granularity exactly why it is that they feel like the systems that are in place are oppressive towards them. I don't think that they have the vocabulary or the education, and that's what happens a lot of the time is that people are, it's like you're being screwed. You just can't talk about, you can't articulate the fine details, like why are you being screwed? Like, I just know that this is not a good deal and that I haven't been given a fair hand. I think that that's fair, that sometimes people would be like, I don't exactly know in every way, right? Like, I don't know exactly why high interest rates are screwing me so continually, but I do know that they are screwing me. Like, my expenses are not paying down my debt, and I couldn't mathematically map out for you why it's so inequitable, but, I know it's bad. I think, that happens, and, like, it doesn't mean that we invalidate the whole individual. I do think that she's kind of wrong here. Like, maybe try to find a way to be more productive. And I think that she may be able to be more productive, but because of, certain personality traits or certain proclivities that this individual has, they're not pursuing that. And we could definitely zoom in on that and say, hey, some of the onus is on you. It always is. But, I wouldn't laugh at the person. Education is a thing. We got to educate people to some extent, the people who are willing to be educated, the people who are willing to work hard. Because at the end of the day, people don't only take these jobs just because, they want to survive. Some of these people need these jobs to get through school so that they could do something more productive or just to survive while they want to start their business. And the amount of money that they get from doing this will determine how much breathing room they have between what they do and what they're pursuing. And that's important to realize too. And I don't think that he really gives the gravity and the weight that that argument deserves to any of these individuals. I think it's just mean. It's mean-spirited.
All of the workers in these restaurants, like 90% of them are going to get replaced by robots. These are unskilled, low education jobs that you could have a robot replace you in 5 years. There are already places that are doing this. It's only going to become more common. And for actual customers, they will prefer the robots because a lot of the reasons why these people work in places like this is because they're too stupid to get a job anywhere else. And they're too untrained or unskilled or in one way or another inefficient to get a job anywhere else. And so what a good thing it is that we have all these people that do a bad job in a lot of cases. And even if they don't do a bad job, they don't like their job, they hate the job, they don't have to do it anymore. So that's it.
So this closing argument is really annoying to me because he's basically saying, yeah, these people, they just can't get a better job. But I think that if they, I understand where he's coming from, that these people may not have any type of skilled labor, or they may not be in a position that gives them skilled labor. But I do think that their ability to escape the cycle of where they're at is exceedingly difficult. And that it requires a lot of, problematic steps. Like if somebody is working at Dunkin' Donuts right now, and let's say that they're 30 years old and they haven't gotten any skills, what's it going to cost them to move from where they're at to where they want to be? And I do believe this happens to people. People want to make a change. How are they going to move from where they're at to where they're going? Not saying it's impossible. Maybe they have to go to school. Maybe they didn't do so good in school before. That means they're going to have to take on loans. Those loans are going to put them in debt. So that means even if they get a better job, now they're going to be in debt. They have to be that much more efficient. They're in a certain living situation where it's harder to concentrate. They have to move outside of that. That means, their level of transportation. How are they going to get to school and back? There's all sorts of logistical issues that this person has to deal with. What if it conflicts with their schedule? What if their job is like, we don't want to amend to your schedule. We don't want to make it easier for you to go to school. Well, you have to kind of put your job first. They may not care. They may schedule you less. What do you say about that, Dan? Or Asmongold? Sorry, too much heroes of the storm. But ultimately, you know, these are things that I think are just glossed over. Like, I'll figure it out. That I don't think he had to contend with. And that's the level of privilege that he doesn't demonstrate. And really, just calling people stupid is just mean. It's mean. And they're not all stupid. They just have life situations that don't mirror yours. And I wish that he was exposed to more people like that. It seems like he just knows everyone's situation at a glance, and I don't think that he does. Anyway, I could obviously keep on going, but I realized how long this video is, and I tried my best to include all of the context that was pertinent to anything I was commenting on. Now, might I have missed a spot here or there, perhaps, and I'm sure all of Asmongold's army is going to let me know in the comments below. But really, the point was just to show that it's really mean-spirited what he's doing here, especially in absence of any solutions. I didn't hear him say anything about universal basic income. I didn't hear him say anything about any support for these people. And, you know, I know that he's taking his business acumen from his business degree and he's applying it here. I can hear it in what he talks about. I'm not saying that what he's saying is uninformed. What I'm just saying is that it sounds very mean-spirited. It sounds like he just doesn't care about these people. What do you think? I would really love to hear what people think based on the merits of the arguments alone in the comments below. I don't want to hear people who are just supplicating to Asmongold. And guess what? They're not even going to get this far in the video. They're just going to react immediately to what I had to say in the first few minutes and say that it was out of context. But if you watch the whole thing, you'll see that I really tried my best to be as even-handed as I knew how to be. So I would really like to hear more. If you like these types of videos and you want me to go deeper into some other types of creators and some of the content that they've made and some of the moral judgments they may be passing on people, I'm more than happy to do so. I try my best to not go for a character assassination point of view, because at the end of the day, I don't think that Asmongold wants to be a complete jerk. I think he just wants to be edgy. But I think he's a little past the edge in some of these places, and he's tiptoeing into something that sounds like eugenics. I'm not calling him a eugenicist. I'm saying that it sounds that way, and that's a tone that I don't think that he wants to to harp on. But perhaps I'm wrong. Perhaps that's what he wants to do. I don't speak for the man. I'm just speaking about what the man said, and the evidence that I've used is the video that he put out. More than interested to hear what you guys have to say. I really enjoyed making this one. It took a long time to make, so please hit the subscribe, notification bell, like, all that stuff if you like the content, because, you know, this stuff takes days to make, and, you know, I'm a starting off creator. I want to continue to make videos like this, and every little comment that you guys put down, I do actually read them. The only reason how come I may not respond to it is because I'm working on a video, but I love to hear what you guys think. Otherwise, Savage Instincts out.